My name's Ollie, and this is my wife Andy, and we are GreenShark Media. So we've been teachers for a long time. I used to be an animation teacher and a media teacher, and I personally have been just blown away by just how kind of creative and technical young people are, but maybe what they possess in technical ability, maybe they kind of lack a direction of what to do with it or like how they're going to use some of these skills. So I've been thinking for a long time about like how we can actually link up like real employers and real projects, get people to kind of get try and like emulate what they're actually doing in the industry. So yeah, my background's kind of animation and kind of media in general.
Sorry, I'm Andy. Yeah, same thing as Ollie. Like I've been in education in a variety of forms for over 15 years. It's basically the kind of I went straight out of like creative university and went straight into kind of teaching it because I loved it in terms of being able to pass on that knowledge. And then on the side, I would do little kind of various videography jobs. So my kind of main skill is like video and doing a kind of a range of production and editing and websites and things like that. So I've just kind of navigated through primary like teaching for creative digital media and then also like doing jobs on the side of that in terms of freelancing. But same as Ollie, like, we've had a real kind of, there's been this distinct clarity of this revolving churn of students that are just emulating getting off the ladder like of the kind of educational system, and then there's nowhere for them to go. So we really want to help like build that bridge, and we've been trying to do that for the past couple of years, trying to actually get them to link with employers, have some sort of understanding of like what you actually kind of what the steps are. No one really goes through that with you, like in terms of what you actually need specifically in the creative industry. Like it's very different to other industries. Like they're not going to care so much about your grades. They really aren't. They're going to care about what you can do. And so it's basically just making that look as good as possible. And we want to sort of help you with that. And the more kind of experience you've got, also the better. So realistically, if you don't have maths and English in the creative sector, they really don't care. They're literally just looking for what you can make, but that has to be good. So we're there to sort of make that look really good and also like link you up with people that can obviously get you in there a little bit more and sort of network with you and things like that. So that's like we're hopefully that like bridge that at the moment doesn't seem to really exist.
Yeah. And we both spent a long time in the last couple of months, like going out, meeting different people in different charities and working in like the different media agencies just to find out what they want. Like, what do they want from young people and how can we actually prepare them for it? Because, getting a job vacancy is one thing, but understanding what they actually, what it means is a completely different language. So we have come up with this idea for promotion, which is a 6 week course, a very short intervention that allows us to give you some real preparation for actual work, real meaningful work experience. And we want to celebrate the local area and we want to celebrate young talent and basically give people real opportunities to meet people who work in the industry a little bit, but also just see what real work looks like. What does an entry level job actually look like for someone who's 16, 17? What could they actually go and find and go and actually achieve? So we want to kind of get people to engage with like a real brief from a real company or a real charity that's local, and they can get some, we can kind of do a short little experience where they can try and do some marketing, some real marketing with the hope that they're building sort of real creative and professional skills. That means that the client will think of them in the future. Maybe they won't hire them straight away, but maybe they could put in a good word for them with someone else, or maybe they could, come back in a year or two and hire them or whatever. I mean, obviously, it all depends on the charity and all depends on the work. But the whole point is that it's realistic, right? It's a real client. You're not just doing it in a classroom. You're doing it in you're pitching it back to someone from the local industry. So at the moment, we're hoping to do it for 2 hour sessions every Friday. 6 weeks feels like a good structure. I'll sort of give you a bit of a week by week breakdown of what that would look like. But we're essentially talking about kind of marketing. And it's not, I've said their brand identity, but it's not about branding a new company. It's someone that already exists. So it's using their existing color scheme and logo and their kind of identity and just coming up with some new content for them. And, potentially some, depending on the skill set of the young person, it could be some illustration, it could be some photography, it could be some video, it could be something that's aimed at social media and web. But we don't expect anyone to have any expensive equipment or computers. We're going to do, it's all about, mostly about ideas. And then you can kind of get feedback on those ideas. But hopefully, throughout the process, if someone wants to go away and take some video and take some pictures and create some content, then we can obviously help them, kind of give them some advice and nudge them in the right direction. So really, we want to sort of think about the kind of what would a client actually look for, right? They would want some small video or small photography projects for things like YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, maybe even my newfound favorite of TikTok as of this Monday. But we're not looking for people who are really experienced. We're looking for people who have good ideas and are creative, and then we can give them something to work towards. So we're giving them the opportunity of a real client that they can sort of come up with some ideas. They don't have to be really experienced, but we do want people who have got some passion and people who are kind of interested. The kind of point of this program is not only to kind of give you some thoughts about your practical skills, but also to kind of build your confidence. Think about like how you might approach a real client in the future now that you've had a bit of a go at trying to create something. Working in teams. This industry, the creative industry, is all about big teams, whether it's video game design or film production or even web design. You're still going to be working with different creatives. So I mean, teamwork in general is really important, obviously. But, we want to kind of use the skills and the confidence levels of the people who join us. We want to kind of give them a good experience. So if they can if they like being at the front, then they can be directing ideas, or if they like to just be a bit more quiet, that's fine. But you obviously want to work in some kind of team. And the point of this is that we want to get people to leave with something that they can show someone else. So they get some feedback from a real client. They can then come up with some future ideas so that they can put that in a portfolio, or they can put that into a digital video show reel. And if they want to, they could start looking for their own projects, their own freelance work. Or if they're interested in kind of getting a job, or if they are interested in going to college or university, everyone's different. We would want to kind of give them a bit of a nudge in the right direction. So essentially, sort of 6-week course would look something like this. Week one, we want to kind of everyone to get to know each other a little bit. We want to find out about what people's skills are, what their interests are, what their experience is already. Some people are going to have lots of content they've made. Some people have just, it's all ideas at the moment, but that's fine. But we want to show people real life client briefs. So I've done some work. We've talked to some local agencies, so we're going to share some of the content that they've been given by clients so that we can show young people what clients are looking for. And then we can basically put people in groups. Maybe if we have like a large we're hoping to get maybe sort of 10, 12 people in a session, so we can split them into groups. 12 is a good divisible number by halves, quarters, thirds, whoever. But I think that we don't want to make it competitive, but we do want people to kind of work together. And we'll talk a little bit about kind of like marketing fundamentals. Don't want to like lecture anyone, but just give some examples of the kinds of things that could be useful. Week two, think a little bit more about kind of like brands and storytelling. Like, I'm obsessed with things like color theory and typography. I'm a big like nerd about logos. Andy's equally nerdy. She might not use that language, but she is. So we want to sort of think about how you can tell stories with images and video and colors and typography, the kind of things that are going to grab attention and the kind of things that charities are going to want or clients are going to want. And then start to create some like mood boards and some visuals. So start to just get some ideas flowing. In like maybe week three, we can think a little bit about some practical skills, some digital skills. So some people are going to be photography or photographers or videographers, or they might be interested in design. So we want to talk a little bit about how you can use cameras, camera phones, get some good photography tips, but also think about your narrative. What kind of story are you trying to tell? What sequence of photographs are you going to release? What's your video going to sort of say about the client or the brand? Um, and then think a little bit about the kind of industry documents that you'd be expected to follow. So things like storyboards and style sheets for graphic design projects. So we want to show some real examples. And again, I've talked to lots of agencies that have been very kind with their time, and they're very generous, can share some real life projects. Again, it's all about real. And then the following week, we can start thinking about your target audience, right? So who's this content for? Is it for uh, an action group that appeals to a certain demographic of maybe older people? Maybe they use things like Facebook. Maybe it's a charity that's aimed at young 16-year-olds in the community, and maybe they've got some sort of, I don't know, something to do with like mental health or something to do with their lives in some way. That they're going to be using TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, whoever. They're all completely different languages and they're all completely different audiences. So it's really important to think about, who are you talking to and how can you create what's called a content calendar. So like how often would you put content out? What time of day? What kind of language would you use? That kind of thing. And then the final 2 weeks really is just like giving people time to really think about, okay, so we've got this real client, we've got this real brief. What kind of content do you think would be appropriate? Right? How can you we can either create some stuff there and then, or you can go away and maybe take some pictures, do some video, but how are we going to present it on the platform? Are we going to add some hashtags, some kind of call to action? So like how would we actually present this information, right? That's obviously what the client's going to want to see. And then the final week, the fun bit is we've got some people lined up already who again have been very generous to come along, and we can either hopefully find someone from the charity or the client themselves. But if not, I've got a little army's the wrong word. I've got a little collection of kind of creative people in the local area from different media agencies, some freelancers that are, they're going to come and listen to people's pitches, give them some feedback, give them some thoughts, give them some real life suggestions. And then all of that can be kind of collated into a portfolio or a show reel if they've created some visual content. And that can be either used as part of a college application, part of a job interview, part of, whatever you kind of need this proof that you've done this for. You've got something to show and you've got some real feedback. That's the kind of like whole point. Andy and I, we've given lots of feedback over the years. We've seen lots of projects over the years, but we want people who are currently working in the industry to be the ones giving you the feedback because they're the ones that they know. They're up to date and they know exactly what they're talking about.
And sorry, Ollie, just to interject really quickly, like we've obviously delivered lots of projects as part of a kind of exam specification in the past. And we know that that really gets in the way of what actually people would do in the industry. So there's a lot of like filler that realistically you would never have to do. But it just because it's part of the exam like spec, you have to do it. So the course is primarily aimed and designed to ensure that it is as real life, as Ollie keeps saying, is as real worldly as it possibly can be, and just cut out all the kind of unnecessary filler that, yeah, we and students always get frustrated by because why do we have to keep doing this unnecessary stuff? So yeah, hopefully what the idea is behind it in terms of the design is that it's all there that's completely relevant as it would be if you were in a job or doing it as a freelancer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So the kind of people we're looking for are just people that care about this stuff. They're interested in art, they're interested in photography, they're interested in maybe writing, they're interested in copywriting, they're interested in graphic design or some sort of design or social media. And as I said before, don't necessarily need to have any experience, but you're not really going to enjoy it if this isn't something that you're already kind of interested in. So hopefully the kind of people that would do this course would be already creative, already interested in art. We can't teach you loads of technical skills. We haven't got time to do that, but we can definitely show you how you can use your technical skills to kind of prepare you for getting paid or at least getting experience. Um, As I said, really good just to kind of work with the team. So we really want young people who are kind of interested in like working with other young people, getting some feedback, talking to people, sharing ideas. That's going to really get the most out. It's going to get the most out of this course if you're comfortable with kind of you don't have to be an expert in presenting, but at least someone you want to have be comfortable to share your ideas, share your thoughts. And ideally we want people that care about this area. We want people to care about the South Coast so that we can really promote real charities and real kind of like projects. So at the moment, we've got our starting location is placed in Creekmore, and we're hoping to kick off on the 25th of April. So Friday sessions for 2 hours. And our kind of introductory price for this is kind of basically kind of £11 an hour. So that works out at £129 for a 6 week kind of program. If you've got some siblings, maybe we can have a little group. So we offer some sibling discount because I think that hopefully will benefit and hopefully appeal to some people if you've got more than one child. But that's kind of like the introductory price. And then essentially, the kind of outcome of this is we want you to have feedback from industry professionals, starting to build links with local clients and charities. And you've got these real world projects for your kind of CVs. CV seems like a very outdated thing to talk about now, but your applications or your next steps, whatever that might look like. So that's kind of like what we're offering to give you some experience, some feedback, and some insight into kind of whichever creative discipline you're already interested in. Can give you a bit of experience in that. Um, We've got a little section on our website, which is greensharkmedia.co.uk. We've got a promotion tab at the top. Just this morning, I added a little form at the bottom to people. You can add your email address. We can then start to send out some information nearer the time. If you've got any questions, obviously you can kind of put that in the box below as well. If you want to ask us anything about the local area or about what we offer. But that's the website. Any questions?